I'm going to be honest with you. This is not my first cup of coffee. My first cup of coffee was actually not even fancy coffee. It was Nespresso. It's 2 Nespresso pods with some milk and honey. You see, my kid was up every 90 minutes last night for the whole night. I don't know what's worse. I don't know if it's worse that my kid kept waking up or if he was just up all night. I don't know which one I prefer. I certainly don't prefer either. But holy moly. I had a hard time this morning. And I know that Andrew Huberman's like, you shouldn't be drinking coffee, but suck it, Andrew Huberman. Name dropping. I actually don't know him. I just know that he's like all about, don't drink caffeine first thing in the morning because it'll mess up your adrenal glands. I am too close to this bush. Still trying to figure out the spacing in this place. How are you guys doing this morning? I was excited to wake up because I was reading through a bunch of the comments on the last couple of videos, and you guys seem to be enjoying this style. I certainly am enjoying this style because it gives me the ability to do something that I haven't done in the 2.5 years that I've been doing this, and that is play video games. You see, up until I decided to do this way, excuse me, I have been overanalyzing everything I do in the video game space, and so to be able to enjoy video games because I'm not overanalyzing has been pretty spectacular. And I'm getting to realize that there's a lot I missed as someone who was no longer participating, and I was instead performing. And so today we're actually going to talk more about this year and should or which direction is the next couple of years of gaming going. Because I think that we can notice and we're starting to pick up on trends. And it's really interesting, especially in light of some of the conversations that I saw taking place in the comments around all digital, or should you get a Series S, or why I decided to go down that road. And in this talk today, I'm going to tell you guys how I balance my gaming when it comes to Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, and how I choose which games go where and why. So first, let's get the coffee going. I forgot the bag. You'll have to forgive me. My brain's not all together today. But we're still with that Rwanda from Verve, Ikawa or something. I don't know. I don't remember what it is. Today, I think we're going to be able to perfect the recipe. Yesterday we got it very close with 25 grams. Today we're doing less coffee, same grind size. So we're still dealing with the 14 clicks on this Time More grinder. Again, if you want any of this gear, I have an affiliate link, which is the only affiliate link. Well, no, I guess I have my gear I use, but I have an affiliate link. Let me move this a little bit. In the show notes, so you can pick up this specific one. So we're going with 24 grams in, and then the final pour will be at 400 grams of water, so whatever that's going to be. Gaming in 2024. Should you go Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo? I think that we've well established that Nintendo is something that should always just be a part of your gaming situation. Whether you're a PlayStation gamer, an Xbox gamer, multi-console like myself, or if you are a PC gamer, no one can quite do it like Nintendo. And so I would say that I think it's fair that we decide to omit which direction is the way to go. And what year who's going to get the year? And Nintendo's going to be omitted from that conversation because I think that they're kind of always there, right? I think that, I guess if we're going to talk about Nintendo in 2024, as much as I don't like talking about things that are speculative and not really fully factual, I still am running into this tree. Hey, tree. Love you, bud, but you need to take it easy. This is my time, not your time. We'll have our time later. Sorry about that. The Nintendo Switch probably is going to get its its replacement. Whether it's a second iteration of the Switch style of hybrid gaming, more powerful specs, more capability, or a completely new designed situation with, dual screens we're seeing? Or something that a lot of us are thinking about, maybe, I don't know. I know that I am. An actual standalone piece of hardware that isn't hybrid. It's just its own thing. I don't know which direction I would prefer, because its own standalone thing, and then Nintendo gets back to having a piece of hardware that's its own, right? Like what was the last one we had? I guess the Wii U, and then we have a handheld like the 3DS, and having two pieces, I like that, because then you can get the best version of both styles. I really do like that. Though the Switch seems to be really, really nailing it. So, I don't know which direction we're going to go. What if, here's speculation for you. What if we got a newer iteration of the Switch, kind of, but they actually dropped, the Switch became the handheld solution, like a Switch Lite, and then they dropped an actual, hard box, whatever you want to call it. Guys, my brain, oh, I made a commitment to make one of these every day, so some of them are going to be a little bit weird because my brain doesn't quite work fully on some of these days without proper sleep, and then additionally I have been increasing my exercise, and so it's just a combination that is going to be super silly. I guess in case you guys haven't noticed, this is something that I am attempting to do on a daily basis, and that's not for any other reason than I think that it's fun. I drink a cup of coffee every day already, so why not share that cup of coffee with you guys and just talk at you without the YouTuber inflection of, should you get the Switch or that? No. Let's just talk the way I normally talk. Let's not get all weird about it. Let's just be real for a second. I think that we have enough performance on this platform, and maybe I'm just not meant to be that. And I'm okay with that. PlayStation or Xbox? Who's going to get the 2024 year? Well, if we're looking at what has happened recently, if we're looking at the Activision Blizzard acquisition, which I think for a lot of people, I don't know, it gave them more hope in what Xbox is going to offer. I know it certainly did for me. I have been somewhat, I wouldn't say disappointed because I didn't have expectations, but I have been feeling this year, like this longing for more from my Xbox experience, because I just haven't been playing or having any games that have really stood out to me, or any franchises that have me really wanting to boot up my Xbox and just get after it. Now, there are a couple that I come back to, such as Halo Infinite with my friends, although I'm not good at Halo. I didn't grow up playing Halo, so the mechanics, and it's kind of chilly. We're gonna go low sleep today. Hopefully you don't mind. The mechanics of the game and how you play the game. In fact, thanks Chase for telling me that you aim up and down, but you strafe for the side-to-side aiming. It's just a very different way of playing. But Xbox as a whole, there just isn't much there as far as exclusives or just games that I don't have already available to me elsewhere. My style, but then that has to do more with my preference, right? I love platformers. I think that I actually like first-person shooters more than I originally let on, but that's because I don't know. I had this struggle. I don't know if you guys feel this too. Let me know. I'd love to know. I had this struggle of this wrestle because of what I do here, of it being like this performance-based transaction online, because I like Nintendo so much, and I always was trying to brand myself as the Nintendad, because it was just like something I wanted to attach myself to, oddly enough, because identity is an issue, so deeper than I was expecting to get this morning, but so tired, my guard's down. that I was like, I can't like Call of Duty because I like Mario. Which I'm realizing is silly, and I think I like Call of Duty. I'm just bad at it, but I do enjoy some of the different things there and controversial stuff, whatever. Like putting that aside, and that's another conversation for a different day. But when it came to the way I did things online, I was like, oh, Nintendo, I gotta, be family friendly all the time, and didn't realize that being family friendly doesn't mean I can't like things that are potentially not family friendly, such as a first person wartime action series such as Call of Duty that may have foul language and blood and gore. All right, we are at our final amount. I'm being very careful about this today because I want to make sure this is the perfect recipe. And if it is the perfect recipe, then this is the one that I'm going to share with everyone on Discord. If you want to be a part of the community, it's really simple. Just Discord link. And then in the caffeine and chill section, I will be releasing recipes. I'm going to let this finish dripping out here in a moment. And so back to the Xbox acquisition or Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard, or ABK, Activision Blizzard King. Can't forget about Candy Crush. I saw an argument online. It was so goofy. Someone's like putting up the average users. It was an Xbox group, so it was to be expected. The kind of back and forth shots at PlayStation users, but they put up the amount of users that were playing these Activision Blizzard things, right? And they included Candy Crush, and I was just like, well, if we're going by sheer numbers, sure, but I mean, Candy Crush has like a compelling point of there's more people playing these games. Like, I thought it was kind of silly, but whatever. Some people just, much like I was with Nintendo, people just have to attach themselves to something, and they find their self-worth in that. And I don't think that that's their fault. I think that's actually just human condition, and that is actually just a very human thing to do. Finding your self-worth in something external because you may not be able to do that on your own. That's not abnormal. I think it's very normal. It could potentially not be good if you attach yourself to something that is almost worthless, such as like a video game company. Really, in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty worthless. You're far more valuable than Activision or the user base or the user number of an Xbox console. Just remember that. You're way more worth it than that. But looking back at Xbox and seeing this big push, this big purchase, this acquisition happen, I think was exciting to me because I saw like, okay, cool. We have, this big, huge thing happening. We have them acquiring this massive, huge company, and there aren't franchises in that company that I am particularly attached to, so much so that I'm like, sweet, Xbox finally is going to be able to do the thing I wanted them to do. But instead, it gave me a little bit more excitement around just gaming as a whole. And some people look at it as a negative thing. They say, hey, Blizzard is acquiring... Not Blizzard. Microsoft's acquiring these huge companies, and they're not spending enough time on their games, and we're getting subpar experiences. We're seeing that all over the place with Modern Warfare 3. I haven't played the campaign yet because I'm choosing to play Modern Warfare 1, 2, and then 3. Campaigns are super short, and so I'm not too worried about getting through all those. But people are very, very disappointed with Modern Warfare 3. It got a low score on IGN, which who cares, right? And people seem to really like to complain about it online. Apparently, they've been shortchanged. It's not fun. Whatever it may be, I don't know. I didn't play it. I haven't played any of those. And so people are very negative about this kind of stuff, which I have chosen to remove myself from that conversation when it comes to adding to it, and instead look at it and say, you know what? These are big dollar amounts. Billion, right? Billions. That's a ton. I think I need to take a seat for the rest. It's crazy. This bush is still attacking me. Come on. But also, do you guys prefer the seated chatting or the stand up? I can totally brew a coffee sitting down. I kind of like the seated better. It feels more intimate. Maybe forget it. I'm just going to do this instead. I'm not going to interrupt myself like last time. I'm going to drink my coffee intentionally right now to see how it feels and how it tastes. It's still a little bit warm, but I think we should be able to get away with it. That's the recipe. Oh, it's so good. It's just sweet enough. Oh, it's so bright and yummy. I don't think there's enough body in it, though. If I'm being honest with you, if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think there's enough body for milk and sugar. If you're a milk and sugar person, I think that this coffee might lose itself. When it comes to coffee and body, you want it to have nice, big enough body to be able to take on the milk and sugar and not lose its flavor characteristics. If the body is lighter or thinner, it makes it more delicate. And so when you start adding things like sugars or milks, it can change the ratio of the sediments that is in there, which is the coffee, and or not sediments, but solvent, right? You've created a solvent. It's chemistry. It's basic chemistry. And by changing what is added to this liquid, you can completely throw off the ratio of what you're tasting, right? And so the body of this, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to try it with milk and sugar, and that'll be tomorrow. We'll try a little bit of milk and sugar to see. I'm going to up the dosage, right? I go from 24 grams to 26 grams to give it some... No, actually, you know what? No, I'm going to keep the... That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep the same and see if it can handle milk and sugar with this current thing. Okay, whatever. Back to the thing. Billions of dollars thrown around. That's a lot of dollars thrown around. But what that's telling me is this industry is far from over. And I know that's something that's been tossed around a lot. Is the video game industry over? Oh, have we hit our peak? I don't think so. I don't think we've hit our peak if we're seeing the financial, not financial, see what I mean? I'm trying to use big words that I don't use usually, and so it's not how I talk. So let's go back to JD talk. If we're seeing them throw around... Oh, sweet Lord. If we're seeing them throw around big dollars like this, right? Billions of dollars. Clearly, this specific medium, right, that is video games, is vibrant. Does that mean that there are things for you to play that you like in, in a massive scale? Maybe not. Maybe we're at a point in gaming where we're at that next phase. We're at the part where we've reached our capacity at how we do things right now. And so we need to figure out what the next steps what the next steps are. Which I don't think is a bad thing. I think that we are I'm pretty sure I'm using this word correctly. We're on the precipice of something very exciting. And I absolutely believe that it is yes, okay, this is true. This is good. I'm going to drink a cup of coffee for this point. We're on the precipice of something exciting in video games, and I 100% believe that that thing is completely, fully independent of which console or system or computer you are choosing to enjoy your gaming experience on. The console war is something that has existed forever because, as I said before, people tend to attach themselves and in some instances derive their self-worth or their identity from their video game experience, which is its own problem. In anything, you should never do that. You are your own person, and there is nothing that an Xbox, PlayStation, CrossFit, cook, vegan, meat eater, carnivore, there's nothing that any of those descriptors can do to make you more valuable. Okay? Very important. And so I think that when it comes to this console war that exists, it's at one point it made sense because it was new. PlayStation and Xbox were going at it, and Nintendo was still relevant when it came to power. And there were these three heavy-hitting companies trying to figure out who was going to take the lead. And it was a very fun time for video gamers or for gamers, I guess, because we benefited. That competition was crazy awesome. But I don't think we're there anymore. And I think that a lot of people are, talking about, 2024, is it going to be Xbox, PlayStation's year? It's going to be, I think what I'm seeing is it's going to be Xbox's year because of this acquisition. All the Call of Duty games are going to come back. Well, while that is cool for people who enjoy the Call of Duty franchise, which I'm finding I'm enjoying more, I wouldn't consider myself a fan like some, but I'm certainly enjoying my time playing Call of Duty. I would say that this huge, Call of Duty's coming back, we're going to get all these games on Game Pass, Xbox is going to win narrative that's existing, doesn't really mean anything. Because I have plenty of people represented in the very Discord that all of you should join that don't play Call of Duty. That have way more money than I do and could probably privately go or angel invest in some companies. And Call of Duty is completely irrelevant to them. I think that, when it comes to that, we end up being in this weird tunnel vision. And that's just what happens when art becomes hobby, right? A video game is art, and then that art is very compelling, and then you become attached to it, and you have these revelations within it, whether it's a revelation of excitement because you're playing a game with a friend, that the game isn't specifically thought-provoking, it's very mindless in some ways, but the moments you have with your friends are some that you could have never had otherwise. Right? Those are very, very special. And I think that, when it comes to video games as a whole, we see that those moments, people who have played franchises such as Call of Duty for the years, I think at this point we can say decades, right? Because 90s, was it in the 90s, even early 2000. We're in 2020, early 2000s, whatever it may be. They've been playing this franchise for a long time, and those memories are huge to them. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to take such memories that have existed, in your mind and say that Xbox or Microsoft, for that matter, is going to win the console war, which honestly is non-existent when it comes to reality, because they now have Call of Duty, I would go as far to say is pretty. Well, one, it's arrogant, but two, it's ignorant. It's just there's nothing there. Because in 2024, I don't think we're going to see a specific console take the lead. Because each console is focusing on wildly different things. And I personally think that what's going to take the lead here, what may happen, and I would have never said this before, but what may happen is we may actually see an increase. I can't believe I'm saying this as someone who plays on console. In PC gaming. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. We are at a point with hardware, console-wise, where we're pretty much there. We have the frame rates we need. We have, for the most part, the resolution that's necessary because of the peripherals that are required to actually experience the resolution that is advertised. That, for some, falls out of budget. And then now with the price increase of all these different consoles added up, and because at this point, we're seeing that all of these consoles are doing different things, there is now, dare I say, for those of you who are actually gaming enthusiasts, not casuals, I would actually go as far as say that I am a gaming enthusiast, though I never would have admitted that just weeks prior. It's safe to say I am a gaming enthusiast. I don't know if I'd go as far as gamer, because gamer is an identifier, and I don't identify by anything other than father, husband, and Christian, so I don't know if I'd go that far, but PlayStation is, as I said before, they're always going to be the most expensive, but they are known for their first-party exclusives. They've pretty much hit the ball of the park with most if not all. God of War is visually stunning. Spider-Man is visually stunning. The gameplay is incredible. The Horizon series, as far as Horizon Forbidden and Horizon Zero, great action RPGs. Ratchet and Clank, a fun story. That franchise has been one of my favorites for a long time. Just a silly goose time and just a great time at that. Ghost of Tsushima, a beautiful game, just wonderful and everything. The game mechanics are great and the interaction with your environment, now paired with the DualSense controller, gives you an experience that I believe to be some of the, not just Ghost of Tsushima, but PlayStation in general, is able to do something that is more, just one step, and that is immersion. Same with their VR system. I don't have their VR system because I'm not into VR. I find VR to be a little bit odd, but I can see it. Xbox. Xbox provides the value that no other system can ever provide you. They have plenty of games for you to play. New games. I am playing Lies of P on my Series S. I don't want to buy it. I have it on subscription because I have Game Pass Ultimate. They have so many games for you to play, to try, and I believe that they are the system. Xbox is absolutely a system that introduces people to new games. 100%. That's necessary. I would say that for anyone who is a game enthusiast, that console is necessary. The Series S or Series X, that's a completely different conversation. And maybe I'll do an episode on just Series S and Series X. Lord knows this whole channel's been around it, but this is a new format, ladies and gentlemen, so I can do whatever the gosh darn heck I want. But that's necessary. I would argue almost the most. If you're going to go in order of what you should get first, I would say maybe get yourself an Xbox Series blank first, then a PlayStation, because you can try games without having to invest in them as much because of Game Pass. I think that's very valuable. Also, I am removing the acquisition of studios because I think that is somewhat objective in some ways. But Microsoft is going to bring cloud gaming fully to the West, I believe, strongly. I say it that way because I know that cloud gaming, from what I've been told, is better over in Japan. So cloud gaming experiences on the PlayStation are better over there in some ways, or streaming from I don't know. I just know that apparently it's better because the internet being everywhere is better. I don't know, something like that. Internet is a very determining factor when it comes to cloud gaming or streaming or whatever you want to call it. But Xbox is doing that. They're also investing heavily in backwards compatibility through that as well. So if you have a previous console or whatever it may be and you want to stream something newer, you can do that through cloud streaming, gaming, whatever. That's awesome and necessary. Nintendo. They are not focused as much now, and it's very clear to see, on the cloud gaming, though they implement it terribly, on the, well, I guess the first-party exclusives like Mario, Zelda, all that stuff exists, but you're not sitting there looking at Super Mario Wonder and being like, I can't believe his nose looks so good. Sure, the HD Rumble is great, and somehow with the vibrations of the Joy-Cons are able to get the audible sound wahoo when you hit the flag. Don't know if you knew that. Thank you, Mindstormer, for letting me know that. But it's clear that Nintendo's not here to race, but instead to take a race and say, wouldn't it be great if halfway down the race you had to paint yourself a picture? And then later down the race, you had to take that picture and see if you could make it into a blanket. And then down that race, you took that blanket, which is made from a picture, and turned it into a fort. And then you lived in that fort and made yourself a fun little sandwich. And that sandwich you shared with your friends, and their friends came over, and everyone could have some of that sandwich, and you played some fun board games. All while eating mac and cheese and hot dogs like you did when you were a kid. Nintendo is not here to compete because they're here to make you feel good. And so I would consider that to be necessary. So then what happens when you have to spend $500 per console and $350 for the Nintendo one? You're sitting there at $1,350. I would say Nintendo is necessary even for PC gamers, so then let's omit Nintendo. Let's say you're sitting there on $1,000 for 2 consoles, or in my case, $850. And now you're purchasing games for both in some ways, but realistically, the way that I do it, and this is where I'll share that in a second, is, I manage it a little differently. Well, then PC gaming starts to creep in, with the exception of PlayStation, because PlayStation first-party exclusives don't come to PC right away, but they are coming to PC more and more because Sony sees that there is market share there. It starts to become an option because we are no longer at a point in gaming where the war exists, and anyone who's fighting for either side is A, stuck in the past, or 2, they don't have an identity of their own, and so they've tied their identity to something that is worthless, such as a gaming company. And that is a different issue. And so, since that is actually non-existent, the war, we're looking at these 3 consoles and going like, holy smokes, all of them are necessary in their own right. This is pretty pricey. And PC gaming has come to a point where it's very accessible. So, what does it look like in 2024? I think that people are going to start exploring the idea of PC gaming. I know that I certainly am. And as you see this channel change into this format of coffee and talking and having a good time doing this kind of thing, something a lot more simple because of having 2 kids and a whole family, this is the best I can do. I can spend 30 to 45 minutes with you guys talking about video games in the morning while I drink my coffee. Because the only time I have, honestly, I'm sharing it with you. So, this is great. I need friends. Anyway, I think that it's exciting because we have options. And the way that I manage my gaming right now is any game that needs to be purchased, I will purchase on my PlayStation. If there's a game that I particularly enjoy, that I think is just ball out of the park, a great good time, that is available on both PlayStation and Xbox, and I've tried it on Game Pass, I'm like, this is such a great time, I want more out of it, I will then go and purchase it on my PlayStation to play it there. That hasn't quite happened yet. Only once. And that is with the Star Wars game, this Lego Star Wars. For some reason, I wanted it to be better. I don't know why. I just did. And I do like the PlayStation controller better personally. That's my own thing. But that being said, my management of all of my games is pretty simple. Nintendo gets Nintendo first-party titles. That's it. That's it. I have some that are available that are third-party, but realistically, just a few. And those are usually purchased because of a very specific, very specific reason, such as Shredder's Revenge. I wanted to have that. But when it comes to purchasing games for Nintendo, it's Mario, Zelda, Kirby. That's how it is. And then for my Xbox, it's pretty much all Game Pass. That's it. Because I have the Series S. I have no need to own anything. I have a couple games there that I purchased on sale because the sales are really good on the Xbox store, or Microsoft store, and then PlayStation gets everything else. Financially, it is an expensive hobby, but I would say that I have figured out a way to manage all 3 of them. But coming in 2024, I can tell you that a couple things are going to happen. 1, plenty of coffee, a lot of coffee, and I'm hoping that you get excited about that. But 2, the big exciting thing that I am going to dive into is this idea of PC gaming. Never done it before, and I'm excited to try it out because I am fully invested in the idea that playing video games is what matters, and the hardware you play it on certainly does not. We did it. As that cools off, it gets a little too bright. I don't know how I'm going to combat that. Yummy. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning. Hopefully you enjoyed your cup of coffee. Want to be a part of the community? Super simple. Subscribe. Hit the like button for the algorithm. If you want to comment on anything I said, do that below. If you don't really know what to comment about, just give me your favorite emoji for the day. But most of all, happy gaming.